Welcome to episode 248 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Laws Guy. It's July 6, 1960. We're in Paris, at the Parc des Princes. France against Yugoslavia. The first match ever played in a European Championship final tournament. Or, as it was called then, the European Nations Cup. And what does Europe's new tournament give us as its opening act? 9 goals. France 4, Yugoslavia 5. The hosts lead 4-2 with less than half an hour to play. Then Yugoslavia score 3 times in 5 minutes. The Parc des Princes falls silent, and the Euros announce themselves not with caution, but with chaos. How did we get here? Start with the idea. The World Cup had existed since 1930. South America had its continental championship since 1916. Britain had the home championship long before that. Central Europe had the International Cup. The Balkans, the Nordics, the Baltics all had different forms of regional football competition. But Europe as a whole? No. There was no proper European championship for national teams. One of the great believers was Henri Delaunay, French, referee, administrator, Secretary General of the French Federation, later UEFA's first General Secretary. As early as the 1920s, Delaunay pushed the idea of a European national team tournament, but FIFA, led by Delaunay's compatriot, Jules Rimet, was more focused on building the World Cup, and the proposal slept for decades. Then UEFA was founded in 1954. Delaunay passed away a year later in 1955, before seeing the idea becoming real. His son Pierre continued the work. So did other French football figures, including Gabriel Hanot of L'Équipe, who had already helped push the European Cup into existence. And finally, the European Nations Cup was launched. Not everyone came. That matters. Only 17 countries entered the first edition. England, West Germany, Italy, and several other major powers stayed away. Some did not like the calendar. Some didn't like the idea. Some still viewed European international football through older lenses. The format was not yet a tournament as we know it today. It was a knockout competition, home and away ties, then a 4-team final tournament. The host would be chosen after the final 4 were known. France reached the finals by eliminating Greece, then Austria 9-4 on aggregate. Yugoslavia reached the finals by beating Bulgaria, then Portugal 6-3 on aggregate. The Soviet Union arrived in the strangest political way. Spain, under Franco, refused to play them in the quarterfinals, and the tie was awarded to the USSR. So the final 4 in France were France, Yugoslavia, the Soviet Union, and Czechoslovakia. One host, 3 communist or socialist states. This is not just football, this is Cold War Europe. And it also connects to the old Olympic problem we have discussed in various episodes on this show before. In the Eastern Bloc and in socialist Yugoslavia, players were often officially framed as amateurs, workers, soldiers, or students, but in practice they were state-supported, full-time footballers. In Olympic football, that mattered enormously. At the Senior European Championship, the amateur rule didn't decide eligibility in the same way, but the football cultures were still shaped by those systems. France are different. France have professional clubs, a major football press, and a recent golden moment. At the 1958 World Cup, they finished 3rd. Just Fontaine scored 13 goals, still the World Cup record for a single tournament. Raymond Kopa won the Ballon d'Or. Stade de Reims had reached European Cup finals. But by July 1960, France are missing the core of that magic. No Fontaine, no Kopa, no Roger Piantoni. Robert Jonquet and Roger Machet are no longer central as they once were. But still, France has talent. Marianne Wisniewski, Jean Vincent, François Heurt, Jean-Jacques Marcel, Lucien Muller, and Michel Stevenard. Coach is Albert Batteux, the great Reims architect. And they are at home. Yugoslavia are also serious. A football country built from Belgrade, Zagreb, Split, Sarajevo, and beyond. Partizan, Red Star, Dinamo Zagreb, Hajduk Split. They had been World Cup semi-finalists in 1930 as the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. After the war, socialist Yugoslavia becomes a repeated Olympic force. Silver in 1948, silver in 52, and silver in 56. And weeks after this European Championship, they will finally win Olympic gold in Rome. The players are technical, brave, temperamental, and tactically sharp. Milutin Soskic in goal, Vladimir Durkovic, Fahrudin Yusufi, Branko Sebec, the captain, Dragoslav Sekularak, the Red Star artist, Bora Kostic, Milan Galić, Tomislav Knez, Dražan Jerković, and coach Ljubomir Lovrić. This is a powerful team. And now, the match. Parc des Princes. Attendance was 26,370. Referee was Gaston Grandin of Belgium. It is cool, overcast, and with intermittent showers. In the 11th minute, Yugoslavia scored the first goal in European Championship finals history. Milan Galić. France 0, Yugoslavia 1. The lead lasts less than a minute. Jean-Vincent equalizes almost immediately, 1-1. Then, before halftime, François Eudes scores for France, 2-1. That is the first half. It's a good match, but not yet madness. Then the second half begins. 53rd minute, Marian Wisniewski scores. France 3, Yugoslavia 1. 2 minutes later, Ante Sanitic pulls one back, 3-2. It's still alive. Then the 62nd minute, Eudes scores again. France 4, Yugoslavia 2. Now it looks done. The hosts are 2 goals up. Less than 30 minutes remain. Their first European final feels close. But then the Euros become the Euros. 75th minute, Tomislav Knez scores. France 4, Yugoslavia 3. 78th minute, Dražan Jerković scores. 4-4. 79th minute, Jerković again. France 4, Yugoslavia 5. 3 Yugoslav goals in 5 minutes. A 2-goal French lead has become a Yugoslav lead. France attacked desperately in the final minutes, but there is no response. At the final whistle, it remains France 4, Yugoslavia 5. The first match in European Championship finals history is still, more than 60 years later, the highest scoring match the Euros have ever staged. But so what? Yugoslavia reached the final. 4 days later, still at the Parc des Princes, they face the Soviet Union. Again, politics is everywhere. Yugoslavia under Tito is socialist but non-aligned, not a Soviet satellite after the Tito-Stalin split. The USSR, led by Lev Yashin in goal, are the great state sport machine. This is not merely 2 teams from the East, it is 2 different versions of socialism. Yugoslavia scored first, through Galić. The Soviets equalized through Slava Metsavelli. Then, in extra time, Viktor Ponedeljnik scores the winner. USSR 2, Yugoslavia 1. The Soviet Union become the first European champions. Yugoslavia are runners-up, but the opening match remains the tournament's wildest memory. France collapse after hosting the birth of the competition they helped imagine. They lose the 3rd-place match to Czechoslovakia. Then France enter a long international drought. They don't qualify for the 1962 World Cup. They are poor in the 1960s. The great 1958 team fades before the next great French team is ready. The redemption comes much later, but wonderfully, it comes in the same competition. Euro 1984. France host again. Michel Platini scores 9 goals in 5 matches. France beat Yugoslavia 3-2 in the group stage, with Platini scoring a hat-trick. Then France win the tournament. The Euros, born from a French idea and introduced by French heartbreak in 1960, finally give France the first major trophy in 1984. Yugoslavia become one of Europe's great almost teams. Runners-up in 60, Olympic champions later that summer. Runners-up again at Euro 1968, losing the final replay to Italy. World Cup quarterfinalists in 1990. Then comes the great what if. Euro 1992. Yugoslavia win the qualifying group. A gifted generation is there. Savicevic, Prosinecki, Pantsev, Mihailovic, Boban, Sukar, Jarni, and others across the collapsing federation. But war breaks the country. UN sanctions and UEFA action remove Yugoslavia from the tournament. Denmark are called in, and Denmark win the whole thing. We told that story 10 days ago. So when you watch Yugoslavia in 1960, you're watching both a football tradition and a future tragedy. A country able to produce extraordinary football from multiple republics, multiple clubs, multiple cultures, and a country whose political structure will eventually rupture so completely that its national team disappears. Finally, this match tells us something about the European Championship itself. The tournament begins small, 17 entries, 4 finalists, major nations absent, crowds not always huge. The final itself draws fewer than 18,000, but the idea survives. By 1980, the finals expand to 8 teams. By 1996, 16 teams. By 2016, 24 teams. The Euros become one of the hardest tournaments in world football to win, and yet the first finals match remains about almost childlike in its success. No caution, no brand management, no month-long mega event. Just France and Yugoslavia trading goals in the rain until the new tournament has a legend before it even has a champion. Before we go, 3 things to take away from July 6, 1960. First, the Euros were a French idea long before they were a French tournament. Henri Delaunay did not live to see it, but the trophy still carries his name. Second, France 4, Yugoslavia 5 was not a random goal fest. Both teams had scored heavily in qualifying, both had attacking talent, and both belonged to football cultures that trusted creation. Third, Yugoslavia's comeback became the first great European championship memory, and also the opening chapter in a tournament history that would later give France redemption, Denmark fairy tale, Greece miracle, and Europe its own football mythology. On this day in 1960, France and Yugoslavia played the first match in European Championship finals history, a 5-4 Yugoslav comeback in Paris, and a 9-goal promise that this new tournament might be worth keeping. That is all for episode 248 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Lost Guy. I have a favor to ask. Please rate the show 5 stars so the show can keep climbing the charts and we can continue welcoming new listeners to OTD. Tomorrow, we go to July 7, 1974, Munich, West Germany against the Netherlands, Total Football against Die Mannschaft, Cruyff against Beckenbauer, the peak of European machine football, right between Brazil's era and Argentina's era. See you then.